Yep. Okay, welcome back to Comic Book History, episode 67. You're probably thinking, wait, where's 66? Well, I did record it, but I accidentally deleted it. I was planning to do this one for Avengers West Coast anyways, that's all we'll talk about this one. The previous one discussed the Invaders. I will do one probably tomorrow and upload that as episode 66. And I'll have 68 to cover the sequel series, this one, Forceworks. Yes. Now, this series started as a suggestion issue 246 of Avengers by The Vision, who commanded basically Hawkeye, yes, Hawkeye, to take himself and his wife over to West Coast to form the West Coast branch. They do so. Now, here's the thing. They get over there and they need a base. So, they go to an aging actress basically for this. Yes, an aging actress to buy her house. Okay. The house is actually, if you see a picture of it, it's the Avengers Compound. That's what they refer to this place as, despite the fact it's a mansion. Just like the Avengers one. Yes, in case you're curious though, this happened in issue 100, done by the last creative book before the final issue of the series. Yep. And there were some people who attacked the mansion, and the aging actors basically just decided to give it to them anyways, as a gift for basically protecting, as a sacrificing your life. So they took the place, and it became the Avengers Compound. Yes, and this place, unlike with the mansion, which they kept moving its base a couple times, this, meanwhile, kept its base the whole time. Yes, throughout this entire run, from the miniseries and the ongoing series, still the same place. Yes, and in the opening volume, besides having Hawkeye and his smoking hot wife, Mockingbird, they apparently got married off-panel during the final issue of his first miniseries by Mark Greenwald. Yes, this is a wedding that apparently was never shown on panel, and then later on they divorced on panel. You're probably thinking, two characters got married on panel, and then they divorced on panel. Why does this sound so familiar? That's because apparently DC ripped this idea off with Cap and them in Plastique, where they got married and then they got divorced on panel. Yep. Now, the creative teams of this book were, of course, Roger and Bob Hogue did the initial, mini-series to start it off. And then it was done by Steve Eckelhart and Al Milgrom, who did it for the first 41 issues. And then briefly, from 42 to 57, it was done by the awesome John Byrne. And for the remainder of the series, up until the final issue, it was done by Roy and Dan Thomas. Yes, this couple. Dan Thomas, in case you know who she is Roy Thomas' second wife. Yes. And like a few other comic creator couples, these two commonly work together on a lot of stuff. Yep. Now, aside from, the Hawkeye and Mockingbird joined the team in the first issue, we also have War Machine and Tigra who joined the issue. Yes, Tigra. And that was just in the original 4-issue miniseries, where they came together, and then the second issue they fought a character known as the Blank. Yes, this character is known as the Blank. It's a very interesting miniseries if you're going to check it out, though this miniseries did spark the ongoing series, which lasted for 102 issues and had 8 annuals published. Excuse me. And this was a great volume. If you ever get a chance, it's fantastic. Every issue is really good. Unlike Avengers over the original, up until 402, which was relaunched in the 1980s, this book had no bad issue with it. None. There was a lot of really good stories here, like the rematch with the Zodiac. There's the Vision Quest storyline by John Byrne, which basically, during the course of this storyline, I believe it was with John Byrne, during this very storyline, they changed the name of the title from West Coast Avengers, that was the original title, to Avengers West Coast. Yep. And then pretty much it was called that for the rest of the series. Now, these are the members who joined during the actual, ongoing series. Iron Man, The Thing, who actually left the team after the first issue because he disappeared. Hank Pym, Moon Knight. Yeah, he joined during the whole thing with the Zodiac. Firebird. Yes, Firebird from Alpha Flight joined this team. Yes. The Wasp, Scarlet Witch, The Vision. The other recruits are U.S. Agent, The Human Torch. He joined issue 50, mind you. Yeah, what cultural comics was taken for the Johnny Storm Human Torch? Yeah, I think that was a mistake on their part because they thought Human Torch. They thought this was Johnny Storm. It's Jim Hammond. It's not like anybody who watched the video easily pointed out, though, in their comment section. I'm sure they took a lot of flack for that. We also had Quicksilver, Machine Man. If you're curious, though, who the heck Machine Man is, I mean, if you're not a comic fan, you're probably thinking, who the heck is Machine Man? He's a Jack Kirby character. He's a robot who made his first appearance in 2001: Space Odyssey, number 8. Yes, that was his first appearance in the series. We also had Spider-Woman, and last but not least, Darkhawk joined the team during the last 7 issues, like during the last year of the book. Yep. And those are the members. The woman's name is Maura Brandon. She only appeared just for this opening, just for issue 100. Yeah. Yep. Now, the thing with this run is that we also have some time traveling, and they also fought the Grim Reaper again. Ultron, I found him several times in this series. Though this series did inadvertently gave the reason why, like in present day, you're probably wondering why in the world did Hawkeye and Mockingbird decide to divorce for. What happened with this run? Mockingbird killed one of the Phantom Riders. How? By allowing him to fall off a cliff. All because he raped her. I am not kidding about that. It was some time travel stuff. My guess is the reason why Marvel did this because DC did the same thing with their with the Justice League, is having time travel meet the Western heroes. Great story, mind you. Yep. And there's also some infighting. U.S. Agent, when he joined the team, it was quite strange to say the least. Like, he was notorious for being a jerk and being way too ahead of himself. Now, during the time this book was being published, a few of the members got their own spin-offs, like Julia Carpenter. Never thinking Julia Carpenter. Yeah, the second Spider-Woman. Not Jessica Drew, Julia Carpenter. She was technically the first Spider-Woman to join the team. Jessica Drew didn't join until 2005, but later retcon that was actually the Skrull Queen. She officially joined in 2009. Yep. Yeah, they gave her own miniseries. And they also gave the Scarlet Witch her own miniseries, which I've discussed that myself. Yep. And let's see. Well, Darkhawk already had an ongoing series part of this. Now, when Iron Man was part of the roster, he was wearing the Silver Centaurian armor during this period of time. If you're curious, though, what this armor looks like, it's mainly his regular Iron Man armor, just with a different color scheme. Like the arms and the leg part of it. A lot of it is white, with the head, with the exception of the face, the hands, the midsection, and the boots all being red. That's Silver Centaurian armor. And the same armor Grant Ward put on in the Age of S.H.I.E.L.D. series. My friend Edgar basically would love to talk about this armor. Excuse me, yes. There was also one point that he posed as a successor to himself as Iron Man, like he's some new person in the mask. It was actually Tony Stark. Yep. Let's see, what else? Oh yeah, the Vision Quest. It basically dealt with the apparent disappearance of Vision, and then have him turn all white for a few years. And then turning out this is not the actual Vision, but an imposter. Yes, an imposter Vision. When the actual Vision, the one with the original color scheme, came back, got rid of this guy, and that was that. It was also during this period of time, when the original ongoing series was published, there was the 2 volumes of Vision of Scarlet Witch by John Byrne. Yeah, that was published this period of time. There was also another spin-off book. There is the Avengers, there's Solo Avengers / Avengers Spotlight, which mostly focused on Hawkeye, along with various people who were part of the West Coast branch. Like, there was a 4-part story featuring U.S. Agent. Yes, U.S. Agent. Yep. But yeah, West Coast Avengers basically. Oh yeah, they also had characters, had stories, and Markham presents this period of time. So yeah, people who appeared in this book were kept pretty much occupied. You're probably thinking, did Moon Knight have an ongoing series when this published series published? Well, when he joined a team, he did have a series, but it got canceled. But they came back during the course of this run. It was the Mark Spector Moon Knight series, mind you. Yep. Tiger herself didn't technically have. Well, in case you're curious, though, like, if you're wondering, like, why in the world, like, when in the world did Tiger and Hank Pym start a relationship? Well, if you read this book, there's hints at their attraction to each other in this very book. That's the reason why they became a couple in the 2010s. Yep. Also, Mockingbird decided to ditch the pants and go to shorts, which is somewhat her trademark outfit that she wore up until present day. Though they did give her a brand new attire currently that was designed for her by Spider-Man. Yep. They're massive the same, mind you. And she's all... In case you're curious about Mockingbird, has she always been blonde? No, originally she was a redhead. She was later changed to blonde for her second appearance, and originally she was a love interest for Kaiser before he got his actual love interest, Shaun of the She-Devil. Yep. Though she got a good consolation prize, having met Hawkeye. Though, not long after she met Hawkeye, he started briefly having hearing aids because he lost his hearing. Yep. Now, if you're curious, though, did Hawkeye have another mini-series published during a period of time? Yes. Yes, he did. As a matter of fact, like a lot of people did. Heck, even Wonder Man had an ongoing series this period of time. Now, by the time the 90s rolled around, well, basically in the late 80s, they did have a couple tie-ins to Acts of Vengeance. They were also part of, in the 90s, like, stuff like Infinity Gauntlet, Infinity War. Were they part of Infinity Abyss? Yes. Yes, they were. At one point, their building was destroyed. Though toward the end of the series being rebuilt anyways by the time Roy and Dan Thomas took the book. Though that wasn't the case in the final issue, which I'll discuss that in a minute. They also had crossovers with, if you're thinking, did they cross with The Crossing? No, that was Forceworks. They pretty much disbanded not long after the events of Blood Ties. Well, in issue 100, we had Death Mockingbird. Yes. You're probably thinking, Death Mockingbird. Isn't that a title of a book? Yes, it is. Well, it's To Kill a Mockingbird. This is the Death Mockingbird. And she did that. She had a battle with Mephisto of all people. Yes, Mephisto. If you've ever seen the cover for it, it's a holofoil cover because it's the 90s. They love holofoil covers. They actually brought that back recently, the last several years. And then, of course, the very next issue, we have the Blood Ties portion. And then came 102. Roy and Dan Thomas left the book. They're actually not on the final issue of the book. That's actually done by the people who wrote the successor series, this one, Forceworks. Dan Abnett and Annie Lenny. You're probably thinking, those two names sound very familiar. Aren't these the same guys who revamped the Guardians of the Galaxy 2008? And the answer is yes. Though they did first with Avengers West Coast. Where Captain America, yes, Captain America, Steve Rogers, decided he had enough for the West Coast branch. He was tired of the infighting, the damage to the building that apparently not repaired, even though it was being repaired. And the thing is, the West Coast branch, like, here's kind of the thing. They were being mistreated. Like, apparently, the way it was written, this is one thing I didn't like about this issue, the way Dan Thomas Enderlin wrote the guy. He was very disrespectful to the West Coast branch. And, like, where he's like, oh, I have senior authority over all of you. And then Iron Man walks in, after apparently being declared dead when he came back. But he says, but I have seniority over you, Cap. Yep. And then it took a vote. Of course, U.S. agents, basically on the cover, if you see it, he pretty much wants to beat the crap out of Captain America, though he's held back by a lot of the West Coast branch. Now, the vote was taken, and it was voted to disband the West Coast branch. And Steve's like, thank you for wanting the thing down, like what'd you do it for? And basically Iron Man gives a very logical answer. Because we were not going to get any support from you guys, and the constant disrespect and backstabbing thanks to you guys, we decided to go off our own. I'm basically disbanding this team so I can reform my own team without your assistance. So goodbye, Steve. See you later. And of course, one of them shows up at the West Coast Avengers Compound, and he says, "Hello, I'm here to rejoin the West Coast Avengers." And then you hear a voice like, "The West Coast Avengers have been disbanded. Come with me and be part of Forceworks." Yep. I'll discuss in episode 68 that I will have to basically re-record my episode 66 and basically upload that tomorrow. Yep. Now, if you're curious though, are there trades for this series? Yes. Yes, there is. There is Assemble, which collect the initial 4-issue miniseries. Iron Man 8 number 7, Avengers 250. And material from 239, 243, 244, 246, and of course, Avengers West Coast 200. And then there was a series of, like, trades, basically, for volumes. Like, you had Family Ties, Sins of the Past, Lost in Space Time, Zodiac Attack. This was the Zodiac story. It was really good. You have the John Byrne stories. Basically, they had a new printing of it in 2015, about 10 years after the original one was published. Where collected his entire brief run, well, most of his brief run from the book. And then you have Dark and Scarlet. You have the successor All Along Came with Spider-Woman. For some reason, 1662 are not here. Don't know why. There's the Galactic Storm, Ultron Unbound, Death of Mockingbird. There's the Omnibus books, and like a bunch of other stuff. Now, before I go, there is a few other things I'd like to talk about when it comes to Avengers West Coast. After they're expanded, they did basically use it variety-wise when it comes to the West Coast. Like, there was a joke in the New Avengers book, like, basically people were like they thought they were going to the West Coast. It's almost like Bendis didn't like the West Coast Avengers at all. Like, please not West Coast, please not West Coast. I think that was... It wasn't Carol who said that. I think it was one of the other members of Avengers. I'm not sure which one it was. So, they pretty much just decided not to. They did use the name in 2011 for, well, basically the original initials, WCA. Mockingbird used it as the name for agency, World Counterterrorism Agency. Okay. As for the compound itself, the very same year that the original miniseries that debuted this thing, which was the Avengers Reunion, and then of course the Hawkeye and Mockingbird series. We later had the compound being rebuilt fully and be used as the, let's just say, the housing facility for the Avengers Academy. After the original was destroyed. The Infinite Avengers Mansion, mind you. Yes, that was destroyed during Fear Itself. They moved this place after Fear Itself, and it became the primary base of the Avengers Academy for pretty much the rest of the series run, and pops up occasionally after that. Though the Academy itself has since disappeared from comics. I don't know what happened to them. The students have pretty much done almost nothing since. The other one that anything is Mantle. Now, the last thing to talk about when it comes to West Coast is the brief revival from a couple years ago. That lasted 10 issues, written by Kelly Thompson. Now, this book is simply this. Hawkeye, Clint Barton and Kate Bishop. Kate Bishop's supporting cast, along with Quint Quintire, Gwenpool, and America Chavez. Their base was Kate Bishop's PI office, and they operated as the West Coast Avengers. Until they got a letter in the mail after issue 10, they also had mass in the storyline. It's mostly, in a way, a follow-up to the ongoing series done by Kelly Thompson, the Hawkeye book, which is really good if you have. It was very stupid of Marvel to end this book because this book was really good. As for the West Coast Avengers, still a fantastic book. Loved it. But the book got canceled as it's like the final issue is like this, like Kate Bishop opens the door like what's this, and the series got canceled. With issue 10, it's just as bad as when they canceled Great Lake Avengers, when Deadpool basically told them you've been canceled after 7 issues. Yeah, no idea why they did this for, but they did. Now, was it canceled low sales? I highly doubt it. The book was probably a decent seller for Marvel. Probably not one of the big top sellers, mind you. But it was probably a decent seller to keep the book going. It's just a shame that apparently almost any book Kelly Thompson works on has to get canceled after a year. The only book she's worked on that's lasted longer than that has been Captain Marvel. And that's apparently the only book Marvel doesn't care to cancel. Like, everything else she's worked on is canceled. Heck, even her brief Deadpool run got canceled after 10 issues. What the heck is up with Marvel canceling her books? I mean, I think like her second longest book she wrote was freaking Hawkeye. And that was 16 issues. Was the West Coast Avengers by Kelly Thompson terrible? No, it's actually really good. I highly recommend checking it out. Yep, and that's the last thing I talk about when it comes to West Coast, okay? So yeah, that's it for the review. Stay tuned for tomorrow, for my review for Just for 7 Deadly Sins, Comic History Episode 66, a take 2, because I accidentally deleted it today. Because I thought I uploaded it already, turns out I didn't. Yep, and well, then pretty much, aside from those two, I might have a comic corner tomorrow. It's possible, okay? See you next video. Bye.